I'm 𝗪𝗵𝘁, and you're listening to What the Heck FinTech, where you'll experience and learn that FinTech is FinLife. Let's get started. Welcome, everybody. We have quite the episode today. We are going national today. We have Scott Mills. He is the co-founder and executive board member of the National Fintech Organization. When we get in, and I'll let Scott explain what that is. It's an unbelievable organization. I got to meet a whole bunch of them. I got to go to a meeting. It's an unbelievable organization. And also president of 𝗙𝗵𝘁, and focus on fintech and banking, right? So, and which I love about this, it's not just going to be a national view. We're going to get a little bit into the Atlanta view, because that's what Scott is, and that's where his company is, and that's where he's based too. So you'll probably tell by his accent as he's talking too. So because of that, because we're talking to Scott, I usually have my Boston scene, which you're seeing right now. I'm going to change that up right now, and I'll let Scott explain what the scene is when he gets a chance. So here we go. I'm going to give it a little snap. Okay, here we go. Now, hey, we're in Atlanta now. Okay, great. So Scott, I couldn't do it justice. You've done so much in the fintech ecosystem. What you're doing at a national level. How about a little player profile? Of a couple of things I just mentioned, and we'd love to hear a little story about 𝗙𝗏𝘁, which is behind me right now.
The 𝗙𝗏𝘁. Well, Rob, that's quite the introduction. I'm flattered and appreciate you having me on the podcast today. The 𝗙𝗏𝘁 is an Atlanta landmark. It's been there since, I believe, the late 1920s,
Wow.
And it started out as a drive-up hot dog stand, and it is an Atlanta treasure. So if you come to Atlanta and want to do something authentic to your dining experience, we have a lot of lovely restaurants. But I'm going to promote the 𝗙𝗏𝘁 today because I love it.
Well, I get a question now. I love my hot dogs, by the way. So what, if you say, when you go up, every hot dog place has, give me the 𝗙𝗏𝘁. What is do they have that? And what is that?
There's a language with ordering, and I know as a visitor you might be intimidated, but there's generally people that'll say, "What do you have? What do you have?" And there was a shorthand that was developed, with this restaurant. So a naked dog would be just a plain hot dog. A PC stands for pure chocolate, meaning chocolate milk. Rings is onion rings. I think a dog walking through the garden would be like a hot dog with everything on it. So they'll help you through the process, but it's great food. It's comfort food. If you go to a Georgia Tech football game, which is across the highway, you need to start out at the 𝗙𝗏𝘁.
Now, do they sell 𝗙𝗏𝘁 dogs at the Georgia Tech games?
I don't believe so. So get your fix or pick up a box as you're heading to the game.
Yeah. Now, what's your go-to? And how many do you usually get? Is it because sometimes those hot dogs, they go down like peanuts. Do you get like 7 or 8, or do you get 2 or 3?
We got to promise that my wife Kim's not going to be watching this, but I'll typically do a chili dog or 2 chili dogs and a hamburger with some onion rings and a PC, a chocolate milk. It's just it's comfort food.
I love that, and I'm a big milk fan too. Chocolate milk is just awesome. Wow. Now
I thought we were going to be talking about fintech, and here
we're hitting the important stuff first. I got so let's talk about the dog too. Like, does it have a skin? Does it snap? Because a good snap dog, or is it no snap? And what kind of dog is it?
It's no snap, but I think the magic is also in the bun. So it's like a squishy, always fresh bun that's been steamed a little bit.
Now you're talking.
I mean, you could breathe those things in; they just go down so easy.
Yeah, they're smooth, right? They're like appetizers, like boom, boom. I know. Awesome. Okay, that's on my to-do list next time I get to Atlanta. I have I'm locked and loaded now. Okay, now the fintech. Now Now, if you can weave hot dogs and fintech together
Yeah,
for
yeah.
payments or banking, that'd be our nirvana for this show.
I should probably, you asked about maybe going into a little more detail about what I do, and
Yes.
I appreciate the focus on National Fintech Organization. That's the work that I do there is important. We'll go deeper into that in just a little bit. But that's all made possible because I work for the 𝗙𝗵𝘆 Agency. So we're primarily known as a PR and marketing firm. All of our clients do something in fintech, banking, lending, and we typically work with about 50, 55 organizations at any given time. Some of our long-standing larger clients are Jack Henry, Equifax, NCR Atleos, but we also work with a lot of I'll say more focused, I don't want to say point solutions, but platforms that do something very specific. So that can include small to medium sized organizations as well. So, people that believe I've got a platform that will improve this experience, or I've got a platform that will reduce cost in the back office, or I have a platform that will help with customer service, or requests that we get that are labor intensive. So making better lending decisions, you name it. There's a platform for anything you want to do.
Wow. Now, for the marketing side too, because don't understand fintech. Now, for your target audiences, or that probably depends on the product, right? That you're marketing for.
Right.
Because obviously, someone our age might have a different viewpoint than someone that grew up with with an iPhone in their hand, right? So how do you mix that? Probably depends on the product. I'd love to hear you. Yeah, because fintech, a lot of people misunderstand it.
Yeah, and fintech is a term. I was thrilled when it came out, and I don't remember when we first started using the term fintech, but I was involved with this area of financial technology, banking technology, lending technology, mortgage, etc. And I would explain who we worked for, and it would always take an extra minute or two to explain. We work with a technology that helps automate certain things at maybe your financial institution. But it also includes B2C, B2B, B2B2C, which I think is kind of interesting, B2B2C. So a lot of our clients have technology like a digital banking platform that they sell through financial institutions that are all about serving their customers, the C in that B2B2C. So, what's kind of interesting to me is the emergence of a lot of technologies that we would have worked that have historically been behind the scenes. There's this user experience component that help it make it easier for customers and businesses to do business with their financial institution.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a great explanation. I love that. And the whole mantra of this whole fintech is FinLife. It's in every part of our life, right? And what you just talked about, like some of the mantras that we talk about all the time on this podcast, and in my fintech courses, it's about frictionless finance, whether it's personal, whether it's business, whether it's business to business. It's all that. Understand it, move it, touch it, smell it, right? Realize it, forecast it. And with all the technology out there, and technology taking everything to the next level. And back to your original comment, I always like to joke, hey, I've been doing fintech for almost 40 years before it had a cool name. That's what I always say. So yeah, I loved it when all of a sudden there was a name for that. Like, I have a purpose. So
I'm part of something bigger.
Wow, I didn't know. I'm so big I didn't even know it. I'm so important. So that's awesome. Wow. How about the NFO? I'd like to hear a little bit about that too. And you can obviously keep going back and forth with with 𝗙𝗵𝘆 and NFO, because I'm sure a lot of those things just overlap so heavily.
Yeah. A National Fintech Organization, or NFO, is a sister brand. We are part of a nonprofit, and that sister brand is Association for Financial Technology, or AFT. So before I talk too much about NFO, I'm going to talk about AFT for just a moment.
Perfect.
AFT's been around for more than 50 years, and it is a very, it's a great association. It's not huge. It's roughly 120 companies, and they meet twice a year. And it's not a trade show, but we call it a summit because it's people in the same room hearing the same things for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then spending time with each other. So it's the place where a lot of business connections are made. So companies discover other companies they want to acquire. Companies start relationships that might include, hey, tell me about your integration process and API toolkit, that sort of thing. It could be reseller kind of relationships, but there's also a lot of personal professional development that happens there. So even competitors get together and they might find, hey, I kind of like hanging out with you. You can learn from a competitor about things that are non-proprietary, like help me understand what you do in this area, or help me understand, how this type of language should be for this kind of, agreement that we're entering into with this other organization. So I know I've talked about AFT, but AFT, largely the value is those 2 summits per year. And these, the companies that go all sell to traditional financial institutions, banks and credit unions, and other types of, lenders. NFO was started as a sister brand to pursue other opportunities for creating community. And we do 3 things, I think, pretty well. And it wasn't, and I should say, it's evolving. It's not exactly as we thought it would be when we started this thing. So we do some education. We've got an education committee. So we'll create original content and webinars, which we call growth garages, focus on things that we think are interesting or maybe underappreciated. And that'll usually involve a panel of people to help, reveal some opportunities in certain areas. So we did one on age tech, about a year ago, and I thought that was really cool. And these were someone from the AARP Innovation Lab. We had someone from an age tech fintech talking about, how the needs of elderly people are different, and how you can get your families involved in finances. But that's a topic that just, didn't get a whole lot of airtime elsewhere, but I think is really important. So that's one of the things we do at NFO is we have this education component. We also we're starting local chapters, and what we're discovering is that, people want to meet in between the AFT summits, but also there are groups of people in certain locations that would love to build a community there. So I'll brag a little bit about Birmingham and my friend Will Bryant, who runs the Birmingham chapter. And essentially, and you don't think I didn't think about Birmingham as being a fintech hub, but it really is. I've been going there for 20 years for business because some of our clients had offices there. But if you go to Birmingham, and we had an Alabama FinTech Summit there earlier in 2025, you saw people from all different types of fintechs, early stage, more established. You had educators represented. You had someone from local government. You had, I think we probably had a few students in there as well. But it was a fascinating group of people who would not have gotten together otherwise, unless we hadn't said, hey, we think there's something here in Birmingham. Let's foster this community. Let's get together. Let's share, different points of view, and let's see where it goes. So that's 2 of the things of NFO. We've got the education part. We've got the local chapter part. And the third area, which you saw a little bit of, is we have something called the Academic Council. so the NFO Academic Council, are university level, I should say university systems that teach fintech. And I think this is an exciting area to focus on because, essentially they're helping to train the workforce of the future. And so we meet quarterly. It's a peer group. We've got the university system that helped get this started was University of UConn. We've also we probably had a dozen university systems represented in the last call. We had the Georgia Fintech Academy that serves all of the public university systems within Georgia. We've got Wake Forest, we've got Duke, we've got University of North Florida, and we get together and we can have a guest speaker, but we also talk about the issues that are impacting all of the university systems and where the opportunities are. And one of the things that I think is kind of interesting, I don't know if it's bad, but there are only about 9 or 10 banking schools left in the country. So like University, Ole Miss, for example, has a great banking school. And I think part of what happened is maybe during the Great Recession, we had some schools repositioned as, we'll just call it finance, But there's two parts of fintech. There's the fin part and there's the tech part. So it's interesting to me to see the people that are leading, these programs, around the country talk about how much focus we're going to have on the financial industry versus technology. And that led to a really good exchange in the last call, which I thought was fun.
Yeah, no, that's a great group. I was amazed. And wow, I didn't even know I was just hitting the tip of the iceberg with that one meeting. Wow, yeah, because my focus, and you know this, Scott, a little bit, and Elsie, this audience knows. I'm an industry guy for 31 years, and then became a professor teaching fintech. I was at Fidelity Investments for 23 years, and it's all about that marriage of everything you just said. It's so critical, and the growth opportunities. And I don't know if this is a New England thing, but a lot of folks, and I'm involved with Mass Fintech Hub, which has a bunch of universities. We're all working together to do not the exact thing, but similar things that what you're talking about. And when I mentioned the NFO, when I talking to UConn, because they're the only New England school that's in there, it's like, there's such an opportunity here. Like, why aren't we all involved? Why aren't we all helping each other and learning from each other? And I talking last night at the Mass Fintech Hub meeting and it's the academic piece of it. There's a capital part, there's a startup part, So because we got the financials, we got the banking, we got the incubators, we got the startups, all that kind of stuff, right? And venture capital. But I'm in the group for the academic side, and I'm like, I go, just to let you know, I go, this is unbelievable what they're doing. I just went to one of their meetings and it was great. So I'm looking, and no one knew what NFO was. I'm like, wow, right? And I got to talk to Laura from the Georgia Fintech Academy. What they're doing is amazing. So we all have to share and help each other if we want to make this great nation great with fintech, right? Otherwise, we're going to get run over and not do a great job, right? So there's so much opportunity here to all collaborate together and learn from each other, because we're all after the same thing, not just in one region. It's all about, okay, let's work together here.
Right. It's a two-way conversation too, because university systems need to be teaching what employers in the industry need.
Yep.
And the employers need the workforce of the future. So I think it's a great marrying of education with industry, and we're here. I still think pretty much at the beginning of fintech as being a degree or a certificate or a master's degree in kind of a modern industry. It's needed. It really is. You referenced FinLife earlier. For for the industry to be successful, we need the people with the skill sets to help accomplish what's all possible. So, and the I don't want to say the upside, but the I don't know, the grand wonderful thing of fintech is helping people and businesses improve their lives largely through technology and better financial products. Right. So what more noble industry than that? Maybe medical, but no, I still think fintech is incredibly important. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Absolutely, and I mean, and I love what you said about, the fin and the tech side. Sometimes the tech comes into the fin, sometimes the fin comes into the tech. It doesn't matter. They're two disciplines that a lot of people don't understand either one of those. You put them together and everyone's like, what are you talking about, right? So that's why the education side is so huge. And understanding in academia, understanding what startups are doing, and industry understanding what academia is doing, and all working together to take us all to the next level. Otherwise, what are we doing it for, right? I mean, that's my take. That's Sarnie talk right there. That's it. I'd love to hear, because you have this such broad perspective and you work and collaborate with so many great organizations across the country. Where do you see our biggest challenge and our biggest opportunity in the United States for fintech? What are you seeing and what are you hearing? I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
I wish I had a pithy answer for that, but I'll share my point of view on what I think we ought to be working toward. And we're all coming from an industry where financial products were very rigid. They were all the same. And it's like, you don't like that color? Well, I got this color. So we're very product focused. And as my friend Wayne Miller says, we need to be experience focused. Mm-hmm. And we can dive in a little more into that if you'd like. But I believe the future of fintech and financial services and primarily banking, the part of fintech that I'm most in, the opportunity is to create those experiences and products that fit the lifestyle of the person we're serving or the company we're serving. And so, I think most institutions, if I were to walk in off the street, they would have a menu item and say, how many of these do you want? Can we get you a credit card? But at my stage of my life and financial needs are different than my son's, different than that a lot of people I work with, and it feels like financial services, that if there is a moment of innovation for the industry, it's to move to how can we provide hyper custom solutions to me and to Rob and our friends and family, as opposed to how can I get those people into my products.
Right, I totally agree. Wow, I love that perspective. Please come back to part 2 with Scott Mills, as Scott gives his perspective on fintech regulation, the Atlanta fintech scene, and how to connect into the National Fintech Organization. Thank you for listening to What the Heck Fintech. Make sure you tune into our next episode as we continue to interview fintech leaders and share real-world stories from across the fintech ecosystem, so you can fully understand that fintech is FinLife.